The MotoGP paddock was left stunned after championship leader Marco Bezzecchi found himself at the center of a major controversy following the Czech Grand Prix weekend at Brno. What started as a normal racing incident quickly turned into one of the most emotional moments of the season, not because of a crash, but because of what happened afterward. Bezzecchi, one of the strongest contenders for the MotoGP title, was handed a suspension after an incident involving a track marshal during the sprint race recovery process. The decision created a heated debate across the paddock, with many questioning whether the punishment was too severe or a necessary message for the sport. Aprilia Racing CEO Massimo Rivola has now opened up about what happened behind the scenes, explaining Bezzecchi's emotional state, Aprilia's appeal attempt, and why the team ultimately accepted the punishment. Before the controversy, Bezzecchi's weekend in Brno was supposed to be another important step in his championship campaign. The Italian rider entered the Czech round as the MotoGP points leader, carrying confidence and momentum. Every race mattered, especially with rivals closing in. But everything changed during the sprint race. Bezzecchi crashed out from 5th place with only 2 laps remaining. Like every crash in MotoGP, the situation immediately became a matter of safety. The marshals moved quickly. They are the people who run toward danger while everyone else watches. They clear damaged bikes, protect riders, and make sure the race can continue. They often work away from the spotlight, but their role is absolutely critical. However, during the recovery of Bezzecchi's Aprilia, the situation became tense. Reports indicated that the motorcycle's throttle was accidentally twisted while the marshal was moving the bike, causing the engine to suddenly reverse. For a rider who had just crashed, was frustrated, and was still full of adrenaline. The sound of the engine coming alive again became the trigger for an emotional reaction. Bezzecchi ran toward the bike, pushed the marshal away, and a second physical reaction followed before he left the area. The first images did not show the entire situation clearly, but later footage revealed more details, creating a much bigger controversy. When Rivola saw the full footage, he admitted that he was surprised. However, he made a clear distinction between a moment of instinct and a moment of unacceptable behavior. "Yes, I was surprised," Rivola explained, "not because of the first push, because that can be seen as an attempt to save the bike. Everything happened very quickly. But the second action was clearly not acceptable. The situation put Aprilia in a difficult position. Bezzecchi is not just another rider. He is the team's championship leader and one of the most important figures in their future. But MotoGP is built on values bigger than results. Respect, professionalism, and safety are considered the foundation of the sport." One of the most interesting parts of the situation was that Aprilia did not immediately know the complete story. According to Rivola, the team initially understood only part of what happened. "It happened sometime after the race," Rivola said. "We were informed and Bonora, team manager, called me saying, 'Come to the stewards.'" When asked if Bezzecchi had already explained everything to the team, Rivola said, "Marco said, 'Yes, I pushed the marshal because he was revving the engine.' So we understood that situation, but he completely forgot about the second part." Rivola explained that Bezzecchi was likely experiencing an extreme emotional peak. When athletes reach this level, especially in motorsport, the adrenaline can be at its maximum. It does not justify what happened, but it is a human reaction that can happen under enormous pressure. After the incident, Bezzecchi appeared visibly affected. The Italian rider has always been known as a passionate and emotional competitor. He celebrates victories with huge emotions and often shows his frustration openly after difficult moments. According to Rivola, once Bezzecchi understood the seriousness of what happened, he felt deeply disappointed in himself. "He feels terrible, like all of us would," Rivola said. "He is a very emotional person, and he understands that this is not the image he wants to represent." Before the final decision, Bezzecchi personally apologized to the marshal involved. In an official statement, he said, "I want to apologize to the entire MotoGP community for my behavior toward the marshal. I know how much effort and sacrifice marshals make to keep us safe. This should never have happened, and there is no excuse for it." The apology was important because the controversy was not just about a penalty, it was about respect for the people behind the sport. Aprilia Racing decided to appeal the suspension. The team's argument was not that Bezzecchi should avoid responsibility, but that the punishment seemed heavier compared with previous incidents. Rivola pointed to past situations involving riders such as Alex Espargaro and Franco Morbidelli, where different penalties were applied. "We thought maybe the suspension was a little too harsh," Rivola admitted. "We wanted him to race, receive a big fine, maybe a grid penalty, but still compete, because something like this had not happened before." However, Rivola also accepted that if this was the new standard, then MotoGP had to follow it. "If this is the correct way, then I agree. Zero tolerance must apply to everyone, including us." The FIM appeal stewards rejected Aprilia's appeal and defended the original suspension. Their reasoning focused on one key point. A marshal is not a rival. A marshal is not part of the competition. They are there to protect riders. The ruling emphasized that the person involved was actively helping recover Bezzecchi's motorcycle after the crash. The message was clear. Physical aggression towards safety personnel cannot be accepted in professional motorsport. The decision created a strong precedent for the future of MotoGP. The timing of the suspension could not have been worse for Bezzecchi. Before Brno, he was leading the championship and trying to build a bigger advantage. After the weekend, everything changed. His lead dropped to just 8 points over teammate Jorge Martin. Meanwhile, Brno winner Marc Marquez continued his comeback charge and moved closer, now sitting 40 points behind the championship leader. A weekend that was supposed to strengthen Bezzecchi's title hopes became one of the most challenging moments of his season. For Bezzecchi, the next challenge is not only about lap times. It is about character. Great champions are not defined only by victories, pole positions, or fastest laps. They are also judged by how they respond when they make mistakes. Rivola believes the Italian can move forward. "The good thing is that tomorrow he will ride again and face a new challenge," he said. "Then we go racing again, and that helps everyone move on." Brno will likely remain a painful memory for Bezzecchi. But it could also become a defining moment. The moment when a championship contender learns that controlling emotions under pressure is just as important as controlling a MotoGP machine at 300 kilometers per hour.